Nashville Superspeedway delivered one of the most dramatic, chaotic, and flat-out entertaining Cup Series races of the 2026 season on Sunday night, and if you weren't watching, you genuinely missed something special. Because what unfolded over 300 laps on that 1.33-mile concrete oval was the kind of race that reminds you exactly why you fell in love with this sport in the first place. Brake failures, strategy swings, a sold-out crowd, a one-hour weather delay, record-breaking lead changes, and a finish so tight that three teammates were door-to-door on the final lap fighting for the win. And at the center of all of it was a 45-year-old driver who started from pole, got sent to dead last on lap 4, and then clawed his way back through 37 other cars to take the checkered flag. That man is Denny Hamlin, and Sunday night at Nashville was one of the best performances of his entire career. Let's set the scene first. Nashville Superspeedway is a unique track on the Cup Series calendar. It's a 1.33-mile concrete oval, and concrete changes everything. Tire wear is different. Brake wear is different. The racing line is different. Cars that are fast on asphalt ovals don't automatically translate to being fast on concrete, and teams have to make very specific setup decisions to manage a surface that punishes mistakes harshly. It's a track that rewards aggression but also demands precision, and on Sunday night, we saw both extremes play out in spectacular fashion. The night actually started with a delay of over an hour due to weather rolling through the Nashville area. Rain pushed the green flag back, which meant fans sat in the stands waiting, teams sat in their haulers preparing, and drivers sat in their cars mentally walking through the race they were about to run. When you factor in the heat and humidity of a Tennessee summer night, a weather delay like that isn't just an inconvenience, it's a test of patience and focus. But when the cars finally fired up and rolled out onto that concrete, the energy in that sold-out stadium was electric. Now before we even get to the green flag, we need to talk about qualifying. Saturday's qualifying session was cancelled, which meant the starting grid was set by owner points. That put Denny Hamlin on the pole alongside Tyler Reddick on the front row. Hamlin loves Nashville. He's been fast here multiple times. Getting the pole felt like a sign of things to come, and it was, just not in the way anyone expected. The green flag dropped and Hamlin immediately surged to the front. Pole sitter, taking the lead at the drop of the green, exactly what you'd expect. Except NASCAR didn't see it that way. The officials determined that Hamlin jumped the start, getting a rolling advantage before the green flag was officially displayed. That's a pass-through penalty, one of the harshest penalties you can receive at the start of a race. On lap 4, Hamlin had to drive down pit road at reduced speed while the rest of the field screamed past him. In a matter of minutes, the race leader went from first to last. 38th out of 38 cars. Dead last. And he had 296 laps left to make up for it. That kind of setback breaks some drivers mentally. You see it happen, a driver falls to the back, the race seems too long to recover, they start taking risks that lead to accidents, or they just manage the day and salvage whatever points they can. Denny Hamlin is not that kind of driver. At 45 years old, with 61 wins already on his resume, Hamlin has been in every situation this sport can throw at you. He knows that 300 laps at Nashville is a long race, and as long as his car is fast, and his car was absolutely fast on Sunday night, he has a chance. So he put his head down, started working through the field, and began one of the most impressive recovery drives of the season. But while Hamlin was clawing his way back through traffic, the front of the field was putting on a show of its own. Tyler Reddick, who started second and inherited the lead once Hamlin went to the back, set the early pace. Reddick has been the class of the field for much of this season, leading the points standings coming into Nashville, and he looked every bit the championship contender in the opening laps. He led the first 37 laps before pit stops under the competition caution, which NASCAR throws early in races to allow teams to check tire wear, shuffle the field. The competition caution is one of those underappreciated strategic moments in a race. Teams have to decide whether to take 2 tires or 4, whether to adjust the chassis, whether to fuel only and stay out, or whether to take the full service and cycle back through. At Nashville specifically, tire management is critical, and teams were paying very close attention to how the Goodyears were wearing on that concrete surface. Reddick pitted, and when the field cycled through, it was Shane Van Gisbergen who found himself leading the race. Now if you haven't been paying attention to Van Gisbergen this season, let this Nashville performance be your wake-up call. The New Zealand road course ace joined the Cup Series after a decorated career in supercars and international road racing, and he's been phenomenal on road courses. But ovals have been a different story. The muscle memory, the instincts, the way you manage a car in a long corner at speed, it's fundamentally different from road racing, and it takes time to learn. Van Gisbergen has been putting in that work, and Sunday night at Nashville was the best evidence yet that he's turning the corner. His Trackhouse racing team elected to take just 2 tires during the competition caution, which vaulted him to the lead for the restart on lap 41. And he didn't just hold on for dear life, he led 12 laps, battled door-to-door with Kyle Larson, who is the reigning series champion and one of the best oval racers on the planet, and looked completely comfortable doing it. 12 laps led on an oval is a career best for Van Gisbergen, and the way he did it was impressive. Eventually Larson worked his way back to the front, and that felt about right. Larson is always a threat at every track, and Nashville's concrete surface suits his smooth, technical driving style. He led lap after lap in the first stage, and it really felt like this might be his night. But the stage ended with one of the most alarming sequences of events we've seen in recent NASCAR memory. On lap 72, Connor Zilisch, the young Trackhouse racing driver who has shown tremendous promise in his rookie cup season, suddenly had his right front brake rotor explode. Not fade. Not wear down gradually. Explode. The rotor failed catastrophically, and with no braking ability entering turn 1 at Nashville, Zilisch had nowhere to go. He hit the wall hard, ending his night early and raising immediate red flags in the garage about what had happened. Zilisch was checked out by medical personnel and released, thankfully, but his car was done. Then, just when teams thought maybe that was an isolated incident, Ross Chastain's brakes failed in the exact same way. Chastain, the 2023 Nashville winner who knew this track well, had actually been one of the fastest cars in practice. He started 35th after a difficult qualifying situation but had clawed his way into contention. And then his right front brake rotor let go, sending him hard into the wall and also collecting Michael McDowell, who had nowhere to go when Chastain's car came back across the track. Two Trackhouse racing drivers, same failure, same corner. That's not a coincidence, that's a systematic problem, and it needed answers. Chastain, to his credit, was candid about it afterward. He believes the added horsepower at Nashville compared to other tracks may be forcing the cars to accelerate faster down the straightaways, which in turn means they have to decelerate harder entering the corners, which puts more stress on the brake rotors than they're designed to handle. That's a reasonable theory, and it's the kind of technical problem that NASCAR and the teams will be studying film and data on for weeks. Because 3 brake failures in one night, Zilisch, Chastain, and Lear A.J. Allmendinger in Stage 2, is a serious safety concern that goes well beyond one team's misfortune. Despite all that chaos, A.J. Allmendinger managed to win Stage 1. And honestly, the way he did it was a testament to Kaulig Racing's strategy and Allmendinger's veteran experience. He stayed out during a late caution, restarted from the front, and held off the field in a one-lap sprint to the stage finish. It was a photo finish, genuinely close, but Allmendinger got the nose there and took the stage points. For Kaulig Racing, a smaller team competing against the big superpowers of the Cup Series, a stage win is a massive deal. It's points, it's bonus money, it's momentum, and it's a statement. Allmendinger was rightfully proud. Unfortunately, Allmendinger's night came to a painful end in Stage 2 when, you guessed it, his brake rotor failed entering Turn 1 with 12 laps to go in the segment. He was running third at the time, in line for another huge points day, and suddenly had nothing. No warning signs, he said afterward. The pedal didn't go soft. There was no indication anything was wrong. And then it was over. 3 brake failures. 3 drivers who had no warning. That's the part that's hardest to swallow from a safety standpoint, and it will absolutely be a talking point heading into Michigan next week. Stage 2 itself was fascinating from a strategic standpoint. Kyle Larson picked up where he left off and led the early portion of the stage. Then Chase Briscoe made his move. Briscoe, driving the number 19 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota, had never finished better than 17th at Nashville in his career. Nashville had been a track that just didn't suit him. But Sunday night, he looked like a completely different driver. He passed Larson and took command of the race, running out front with confidence and consistency that genuinely surprised people. His team was talking about a loose condition he was managing, but he was managing it beautifully. The strategic chaos really kicked in around lap 139 when the first wave of pit stops began. Riddick came in from third, Larson followed from second, and Briscoe pitted from the lead on lap 141. Then Austin Dillon went for a massive spin down the front stretch on lap 145, triggering a caution that completely reshuffled strategy. Dillon got loose off the bumper of Chris Buescher in a cluster of cars slowing for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who was making a move toward pit road. It was one of those racing incidents where nobody is really at fault, just cars running out of room at the wrong moment, but the resulting caution was a gift for some teams and a nightmare for others. Daniel Suarez was one of the gift recipients. Fresh off his stunning win at Charlotte the week before, Suarez's team called a brilliant strategy play. They stayed out on old tires when others pitted, giving him track position for a restart. It mirrored almost exactly the call that won him the Coca-Cola 600, and it worked again. Suarez restarted near the front on worn rubber, maintained his position, and took the Stage 2 win when a late caution triggered by a multi-car crash involving Corey Heim and Todd Gilliland effectively ended the segment. Back-to-back stage wins in back-to-back weeks for Suarez and Spire Motorsports. Whatever that team has found over the last 2 weeks, they need to bottle it. Now we get to the final stage, and this is where the race truly became something special. With Hamlin having worked his way back into contention, the Joe Gibbs Racing operation was looking strong. Christopher Bell, Briscoe, and Hamlin all had fast cars. Zane Smith in the number 38 Front Row Motorsports Ford was also a factor, a mid-sized team that had played strategy perfectly and found themselves with the lead with about 12 laps to go. For Front Row Motorsports, that's enormous. They don't have the same resources as Hendrick or Gibbs or Penske, and to be leading a Cup Series race late is a massive moment for the organization. But a late caution changed everything. With 12 laps remaining, the caution came out at exactly the wrong time for Smith and exactly the right time for the JGR Toyotas. On old tires with fresh tire competition closing in on him, Smith's window was narrowing fast. When the final restart came with 4 laps to go, it was chaos in the best possible way. The JGR Toyotas were right there, Hamlin, Bell, and Briscoe all in position to win. And what followed was a 3 Toyota battle for the ages that will be replayed and analyzed for a long time. Bell and Briscoe went after each other aggressively in turn 1 on the restart. Both of them were driving hard, neither willing to give an inch to their teammate, and that battle opened a door on the inside for Hamlin. He read it perfectly. He dove to the inside of Bell in turn 1 and immediately went side by side with his teammate. The next 3 laps were intense. These 3 drivers know each other incredibly well. They share engineers, share data, share notes. They know exactly how each other races. And that knowledge cuts both ways. You know how to beat them, but they know how to beat you. Hamlin was using every bit of that information in real time, positioning his car where he knew Bell would struggle, protecting his line where he knew Briscoe would attack. On the final lap, Bell made his move. He drove deep into turn 1, deeper than he probably should have, looking for an angle that would let him get back to Hamlin's inside. But he went in too deep. He couldn't rotate the car the way he needed to, and that gave Hamlin just enough room to clear turn 2 cleanly and maintain the lead into the back straightaway. By the time they came to the checkered flag, Hamlin was ahead by 0.115 seconds. Bell was second. Briscoe was third. 3 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas finishing 1-2-3. A sweep for a team that prides itself on depth and speed, delivered in the most dramatic fashion imaginable. Hamlin was emotional in victory lane, and understandably so. This was his 62nd career Cup Series win, tying him with Jimmy Johnson for the number that once seemed unreachable. More importantly, it was a win that came the hard way, from the back of the field, against his own teammates, on a night when nothing went smoothly until everything did. At 45 years old, Hamlin continues to prove that he belongs in every conversation about the best drivers in this sport. Starting first, going to last, and then back to first, he said in victory lane. You can't script that. You can't plan for it. You just have to be good enough to make it happen, and on Sunday night at Nashville, Denny Hamlin was absolutely good enough. Bell was gracious but clearly frustrated afterward. He's had 2 second-place finishes in 2 weeks, which sounds like a good run until you consider that he also had 2 legitimate shots at winning and came up short both times. The pit stop miscue in stage 1 that dropped him from the top 5 to 30th for a restart was a gut punch, and he had to fight through that all night to get back to the position where he could challenge for the win. He got there. He just didn't get the trophy. Bell called it disappointing and said he didn't get the job done for his team, even with a great car underneath him. That kind of self-accountability is a mark of a driver who's still motivated and still hungry, and Bell will be back. Let's talk about some of the other performances worth highlighting, because this race had a lot going on. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 47 Hayek Motorsports Chevrolet came home 4th, continuing what has been a quietly solid season for him. Stenhouse doesn't always get the attention he deserves because he doesn't always run for a marquee team, but he's a smart, experienced racer who finds a way to maximize what he has. Shane Van Gisbergen's 5th place was genuinely one of the feel-good stories of the night. Aside from those 12 laps he led in stage 1, he ran inside the top 10 for most of the race. On a track that requires oval-specific skills he's been building for 2 years, to put together a flag-to-flag performance like that is a real breakthrough. Trackhouse Racing has believed in him since they brought him over, and nights like Nashville justify that belief. Tyler Reddick, 6th place. He remains the points leader after Nashville, now 97 points ahead of Hamlin and 174 ahead of Ryan Blaney. Reddick has been remarkably consistent this season, and even when the race doesn't go perfectly, he and Chase Elliott were actually collected in an accident just after taking the checkered flag as the field was still pushing hard to the finish line. He finds a way to take points home. 6th at Nashville keeps the gap comfortable heading into Michigan. Kyle Larson deserves a mention too, even though his night ended in frustration. He led 56 laps, 1 fewer than Hamlin, and at multiple points during the race looked like the fastest car on the track. But the reigning champion couldn't convert that speed into a result, finishing 23rd. That's the kind of night that stings, because you know you had the car to win and it just didn't come together. Michigan will be an important track for Larson to bounce back. The record books also got updated Sunday night. 31 lead changes among 15 different drivers, both new records for Nashville Superspeedway. That stat alone tells you everything you need to know about the nature of this race. When 15 different drivers lead a race, it means strategy is working, it means the racing is close, it means no single team or car dominated from flag to flag. That's the kind of racing Nashville has been producing since it returned to the Cup schedule, and Sunday night was its best showing yet. The next stop on the Cup Series schedule is Michigan International Speedway, a 2-mile high-speed oval that puts a massive premium on horsepower and aerodynamics. The Firekeepers Casino 400 goes green next Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, broadcasting on Prime Video and HBO Max with radio coverage on MRN and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. And the defending winner at Michigan? Denny Hamlin. Coming off a win at Nashville, heading to a track where he won last year, sitting second in the championship standings. If you thought Sunday night was good, Michigan might be even better. This season is setting up for a fantastic championship battle. Reddick has been consistent all year and leads comfortably, but Hamlin is right there. Blaney is lurking in third. The playoff picture is starting to take shape, and every race from here to the cutoff is going to matter enormously. But for now, let's just appreciate what happened at Nashville Superspeedway on Sunday night. A weather delay, brake failures, strategy chaos, a record-breaking race, 3 teammates going door-to-door on the final lap, and Denny Hamlin delivering one of the great comeback drives of the season. That's NASCAR at its absolute best. That's why we watch.